Independent work. So this is a station where students are going to learn a system for working on their own. They can't do it at the beginning. It's going to have to be taught. It's going to have to be reinforced. And it's something that they're going to need some support with at first. But you're going to teach them to work on their own using this system. And the things that they're working on in independent work are mastered skills. That's really important. We wouldn't give a student brand new work that they've never seen before, never encountered in an independent work, because they wouldn't be able to do it on their own. So we're working on the things that they have mastered. That's a great place to work on generalization and maintenance of those skills. And then it's individualized for each student need. There's no one right way to set up this station, right? There's a lot of different options for independent workstations, but there are some things that we can talk about that can be consistent between them as we go through. And another idea for this, you might want to start teaching the independent work routine in a small group, like maybe with 2 or 3 students. You can start teaching how to use the routine, and then you can move to a more independent workstation as the student masters that routine in the small group. So with a teacher there, they've got it now. I can move them to an area of the room where they're by themselves and trust that they're going to be able to continue using that system that I've taught. All right, so like I said, there are many different ways to set it up, but there are a few things that should be included in every independent station, independent work area. So here are 3 very different examples, but you can see that there's a system for organizing the tasks. There's some storage in each of those areas. And usually it's 3 separate tasks. That's just a rule of thumb. It's a general rule of thumb. On the left and the bottom right, you can see those 3 drawer shelves labeled with the numbers 1, 2, 3. That's the tasks the students are going to complete first, second, and third. Those tasks would be stored. The students would pull those tasks from the drawers. In the picture on the top right, the tasks are in boxes on the shelf. So you can see on that bookshelf, there are some boxes there, and that's where they would pull their activities from. There are visual supports there available to the students to help them follow the sequence of the tasks and indicate when they've completed their work. Often the container holding the task is labeled with numbers, colors, shapes, pictures, could be characters that they enjoy, some identifying image. The student would pull off the task from the work box or the work task and put it on their visual task strip on the table. So once they've completed it, they pull it off and put it there. And then there's a finished box of some sort for student to put the tasks in that they have completed. So depending on the size of the task, the size of the finished container may need to be adjusted. For larger tasks, things like laundry baskets or those big plastic tubs work well, but smaller containers can be used for smaller tasks. And you see a smaller basket on the table on the left. They're using the shelf on the picture in the top right and the shelf on the picture on the, they're using the drawers in the picture on the bottom right. So there's a variety of ways that you can do it. It is also really important that you teach students to work from left to right, just like we learn to read. The progression that we teach a lot of things in is left to right. So teaching them that kind of a system that's organized that way can be really helpful. So it doesn't matter where you put your independent workstation, as long as the system moves left to right. And like I said, this promotes literacy. And here's some other examples of work systems. They all work. They can be individualized to meet different students' needs. The picture in the top left is there's just a divider in the middle, and there's 2 independent workstations, one on each side at those tables. And those are just those little stacking file organizers where file folder activities or paper pencil tasks. That was for students who were able to do that work independently. On the picture on the bottom left, that's another basket system or a little bucket system. Looks like it's organized by color. And you can see the task strip on the left side of the desk, and they're also on the work boxes. So students pull it off the work box, put it on the task strip when they're finished. And there's a laundry basket underneath the table that you can't see very well, but that's where they're putting their finished work. On the top right, it looks like those are 3 different independent workstations with some milk crates, and there's probably files in there where they pull out the first file and complete what's inside of it, put it back, second file. That's one way to do it. Someone also pointed out in a training something that I thought was brilliant. It could be teaching them to move from cubby 1 to cubby 2 to cubby 3 to complete the work. And that I've never seen that work in or set up like that in a classroom, but that could also be an option. And I love that. One reason why I really love that picture and that example is because it seems to be set up more like what a student might encounter in an office job once they leave school. And then the picture on the bottom right, there's a shelf to the left where the activities are stored. They have the desk where they work, and that pink milk crate on the right where they put the finished items when they're done. All right, so I want to give you a little bit of encouragement. This seems like a big task, but it is possible. The little guy on the left is a student that I had several years ago. He came to school with a lot of aggression, some refusal, and a history of being sent home from his previous school. About 4 months after he joined the classroom, he was able to sit and work independently for short periods of time. It took some time. This was 4 months after he started in the classroom, but he was able to sit and complete simple file folder tasks and some other mastered skills by himself at the table for brief periods of time. The student on the right, that student's using their independent time for a computer program. And I also want to point out that he's using a touch screen. So it's been individualized for his needs. You could use that independent time for something like Teachtown, for Dreambox, for Lexia. And there are some other programs that I know you all use throughout Arkansas. There's various programs that teachers use, and you might be able to have a student work on that during their independent time if they're able to do that on their own. It's okay to think outside of the box a little bit with your independent time. What can you come up with? What creative ideas can you have? And once again, it's just important to have materials organized and ready to go, loaded into the system when the day starts so that students can begin to work as soon as they get there, so that they're not waiting for someone to set up their tasks. These pictures show a couple of organization systems that teachers use when they have students working at multiple levels. Honestly, that left picture kind of freaks me out a little bit. That's a lot going on. There looks like there's some that are organized by shape, some by letters, and some by numbers. And I'm sure that's because they have students at 3 different levels. And so they have tasks prepared for all 3 levels, which is fantastic. And I'm impressed that they have this many tasks ready to go. Those are sometimes referred to as shoebox tasks or task boxes, and they have them ready to go for the day or maybe for the week. And then on the right, that's just a very simple system using some book boxes where you would have, that's also 3 different levels. There were file folder activities at 3 different levels, so it can be quickly set up. Paraprofessionals can be taught the system for setting up the work area, putting the right level of activity in that area, and then they can help with that. Don't forget that to begin with, an adult will need to be available to teach the system. Students don't just know how to use an independent station when they sit down there. We have to teach it. So sometimes this is an area where a para can monitor a couple different independent stations at the beginning and teach that. Or once again, you might be able to teach it in a small group. You can teach it in a small group and then transition students to the independent area, which frees up some space in your schedule once students are able to work independently and they're not requiring an adult supervision for everything.